LaFleur brothers in Green Bay today, kicking off NFL Live with a little brotherly love. Packers and Cardinals holding a joint practice. Are we going to see the brothers throw down at midfield? We'll tell you. Chiefs open the season on Monday night. What does Patrick Mahomes say about being ready for week one? And more joint practices today in Maryland as the Commanders and the Ravens. Sal Powell with an exclusive interview with Washington's quarterback, Jayden Daniels. So glad you're with us on NFL Live. I'm Hannah Storm, joined by these great football minds, flanked on either side by absolute genius, Booger McFarland and Louis Riddick. It's great to be with you guys. Let's get right to it. The Ravens and the Commanders wrapped up their final joint practice today in advance of their preseason finale, which takes place on Friday night. As I mentioned, Sal Paolantonio was there on the scenes today. So, Sal, what was your observation about the Commanders and the Ravens?
After the joint practices with the Washington Commanders, Jesse Minter, the head coach of the Baltimore Ravens, said it was important for Lamar Jackson to be tested against the Commanders' defense under new defensive coordinator Durante Jones, who's going to attack the quarterback and attack the football. And after practice, Jayden Daniels said pretty much the same thing. He said it was very important for him to get out against a defense like the Ravens, where they have different exotic blitzes, different looks, pressure, and the illusion of pressure is going to test him in the regular season. Both these quarterbacks, Lamar Jackson and Jayden Daniels, are looking more and more comfortable in the pocket with their new offensive coordinators. But both of these teams are trying to get their protection right so they can maintain both of these quarterbacks through a 17-game season.
Well, Lamar Jackson missed 4 games last season as he dealt with multiple injuries. And when the two-time MVP was on the field, he just was not the explosive runner that we're used to seeing. He averaged fewer than 27 yards per game last season. That is a significant decline from the first 7 seasons of his career, when he averaged over 64 yards per game on the ground, as he enters this season with a new head coach in Jesse Minter, who Sal caught up with as well today.
What have you seen so far in camp that says this guy's getting ready in this system for 2026?
Yeah, I see a guy that is really, really eager, showing up every day with a great mindset, kind of attacking, learning a new offense, learning new people, learning new coaches. He's a really good teammate, kind of brings everybody along with him. And so I've seen him just from the jump really kind of dive all into to what's new and embrace it, and look forward to see it in action here soon.
Is Lamar going to be more like he was in the past running the ball this year, or is it going to be more of like last year? Where do you think, as far as rushing attempts, you'll kind of fall?
I believe I know, a lot of people know. I was hurt last year too, so I really couldn't do anything like I wanted to, so it really wouldn't put my team in a good position if I was just running hurt, losing yards, things like that was happening. But whatever it takes to win, that's what I'm all about, and I've always been about that too.
Yeah, and Lewis, they had some pass protection issues today. I mean, obviously, defenses tend to dominate these joint practices. But what are you looking for from Lamar in that offense under Declan Doyle?
I think Lamar kind of summed it up. I'm looking for him first and foremost to stay healthy, and then that way he can really show you the dual threat capabilities that he has, and he can lean on whichever one he needs to in order to win games, which is what Lamar continuously says is the most important thing. Now, they've tried to retool this offensive line, Hannah, in particular on the inside. They drafted Vanga Ioane out of Penn State in the first round, to play offensive guard, who was just a spectacular athlete. Derrick Henry returns, who you see on the screen. I think this will be an offense that will really feature the wide zone runs with Derrick Henry slamming downhill, Lamar under center, lots of play action passes, then to kind of like split the defense on the second and third level. Which is where then Zay Flowers can go to work. Their fantastic rookie, Jacoby Lane, can go to work. These tight ends can go to work, which they are basically 3 to 4 deep at that position. So I think it's going to be a multiple offense that's really going to be predicated on being physical up front first and foremost, utilizing play action off of the physical running game, and then Lamar can do what he needs to do from there. But the most important thing, he just needs to stay healthy and stay on the field, because that's where he's most dangerous.
Yeah, I would completely agree with you. They've got to stay healthy, and really nothing matters for the Baltimore Ravens until you get to the postseason, because we know they've been a really good regular season team for a long time. I expect the physicality to come back. You know, you talk about Declan Doyle and some of the creativity. I think we're going to see Lamar Jackson under center a lot more. What does that mean? That means Derrick Henry is going to have a two-way go coming downhill, more power run game. But I think the biggest thing that nobody's talking about, because we focus so much on Lamar, Jesse Minter comes over. Jesse Minter is a defensive mind. Think about the impact that Mike McDonald made on the Seattle Seahawks, who won the Super Bowl. A defensive mind coming to a new team. What's been lacking in Baltimore? Defense. I think this defense is going to make it where Lamar Jackson doesn't have to do it all. Lamar doesn't have to score 40 points in some of these big games. So I love the combination of Declan Doyle from an offensive standpoint, but Jesse Minter, the head coach, having a defensive background. Where has Baltimore lacked over the last couple seasons? Defensively, nominating out of BK's back. We got so many things going good for the Ravens. This is a perfect fit. But again, Hannah, nothing matters until you get to January for this team.
Yeah, and listen, great for that offense to know that they have a killer defense on the other side. That can make all the difference. All right, speaking of a team who's lived off of that formula, this is new on NFL Live from the Texans and their joint practice with the Panthers. The Texans believe right tackle Braden Smith suffered a foot injury today that led to him being carted off the field. Now, remember, he signed that 2-year, $20 million contract this offseason as a free agent, and you got Texans fans just rolling their eyes here. They have struggled to find consistency on that O-line the last couple of seasons, Lewis. This is a year which they absolutely have to have a bounce-back performance from C.J. Stroud. So how much does this news concern you?
It concerns me simply because, look, I think both Braden Smith, who's a free agent signing, Wyatt Teller, who comes over from Cleveland, who's a free agent signing, who was signed to play guard for them. Look, I think this offense is really in a state of flux on the offensive line because, by all accounts, those two in their performance so far has kind of been uneven. And then you have Keelan Rutledge, who was drafted in the first round out of Georgia Tech, who was a fantastic guard in college. They had him playing some center. Does that mean they have to move him back to guard? The running game's got to get going, and the pass protection has to be better. If they want to run the football with David Montgomery, who was a hammer, an absolute hammer. The wide receiver position has taken some hits already as well, but they go ahead and they bolster the depth with the trading for Kayshon Boutte. And so, look, I think for C.J. Stroud, he's just trying to figure out, and the team's trying to figure out who's going to be in front of him. Are we going to be able to run the football with effectiveness to take some of the pressure off of him? Again, utilizing play-action pass, which we all know works on every defense when you have a credible run game because of the conflict it puts you in. But they have to settle upon their best starting front five, namely at left guard and right tackle, in order for this team to really kind of get off the ground and get going. And right now, it doesn't seem like they have settled on that yet.
My biggest fear for this team is something that I dealt with, Lewis, when I was with the Buccaneers. Like, our defense was dominant, but offensively, we just couldn't get over the hump. We couldn't carry our part. And you can start to see the remnants from that standpoint of this Houston Texan offense. Left tackle, right tackle. Can they be protected? Can they run the football? They go out, they try to get David Montgomery. And then on top of all that, C.J. Stroud has a question mark, or there has to be in the back of your mind based on how he finished last season. Now, we all know that C.J. can get it done based on his earlier success in this league, but you got to go out and get it done now. This defense, make no mistake about it, is a Super Bowl caliber defense. So when you talk about the offensive line, Hannah, is it concerning? Right. Absolutely. It is very concerning because if the offensive line is not there, they can't run the football. And if they can't run the football, then everything goes back to a quarterback that at the very minimum has to have shaky confidence how he finished last season.
Yeah, I mean, no confidence at the end of last season. That offensive line ranked 30th in pass block win rate. They also can't keep their receivers healthy. They got a hell of a roster, too, down there in H-Town, but stuff has to come together on that side of the ball. All right, new on NFL Live from our college football insider, Pete Thamel. In the formal SEC president's vote today to confirm penalties in the legislation involving the banning of NFL players, there ended up being a 15-0 vote. LSU abstained from the voting. Now, with this vote, the SEC joined the Big Ten in its unanimous opposition to athletes leaving the NFL and then returning to college teams, swiftly passing a new conference rule that gives Commissioner Greg Sankey full authority to enforce it with penalty. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with LSU. Okay, then on the NFL side, Adam Schefter reported this moments ago, and I quote, the NFL will provide clarity to clubs later today regarding league rules governing player eligibility that have been in place and remain unaltered. A player that goes back to college this season will be prohibited from signing with an NFL team this year. A player signed to an NFL contract who is subsequently cut is a free agent. He may sign with another NFL club, the CFL, or return to college, but that player is considered a free agent and will not be subject to a future draft. So those are some pretty major updates on both sides of this conversation that has dominated the football.